Yeah, I'm literally, you know what? It's okay. Nobody knows this, but you can't see anyways, so it's okay. I mean, I'm in my gitch. I have no choice. Gitch in a t-shirt. There's no other choice, man. There's just it ain't gonna be any other way. Yeah, my air conditioner is just there's no way I can use it. Yeah, the landlord like over a year ago or whatever decided he was going to make my life miserable, and when they came in here to spray for cockroaches that he has in the walls, they decided they were gonna these spray jockeys were gonna hose down everything that was in here, my computer, my clothes, my bed, fucking everything. It was everywhere. They sprayed it in the shower head, they sprayed it into the air conditioner, fucking just like a hit big time. Yeah, so I was like whatever, so I don't use it, but it took over a year and a half to clean all that poison up. It was like it would dry and then it would turn to a powder and float around in the air and get in your mouth and your eyes. You could taste it was bitter. Yeah, it would get in your hair and it would fuck you up in the head for a while. Yeah, it's like a nerve agent. It was nasty, but you know what? I forgive him. Yeah, it's not him anyways. It's what's working through him. My enemies are the the dark principalities, not people. Yeah, they're just puppeting people around me. That's all. Mm. And Satan's working super hard overtime. Yeah, because he knows his time is short, and we're at that point in our timeline as human beings here where yeah, he's having to work extra hard because it's shit's going down. You know what I mean? Yeah, and he's like losing hardcore. So he's doing this thing that I had a roommate, a nasty, dangerous, demonic roommate I had at one point, and trying to fix my hair. Always looks funny when I turn my head to the side. Yeah, this nasty demonic roommate I had one time, and I literally like used my bedroom as a panic room, and I had like security cameras set up all over the house just because I had equipment downstairs and I had to make sure that I was going to protect all that shit. And if someone broke in, I'd find out, I'd know what happened, right? And so I was literally like I had a computer monitor with all that hooked up in my bedroom, and then all the cameras, all the cables ran out from my bedroom, across this, up this in the ceiling, and all the what do you call it? The panels underneath the panels, those ones with the drop ceiling. Yeah, I had it all running up through there, and I was able to basically watch the guy and see what he was up to. And it was a good thing because he was trying all kinds of shit. Yeah, he was doing the craziest stuff, man. Oh yeah, the guy was not together. He was fucked, and he was destroying the house too. Oh yeah, like it was gross in there, man. It just reeked. It was nasty. It smelled like rotting flesh. Like the guy was for sure possessed. Yeah, 100%, 100% for sure. And towards the end of it, like I had to like stay hidden in that room for like 6 months, eating out of cans and pissing out the window, and I'd watch him and wait till he left for a long time, and then I'd go to the bathroom and really use the can, right, and come back and then hide in my room again. It was pretty bad. It was gross. I couldn't shower. He fucked up everything. The shower bathroom was just covered. Everything was like, it's like someone went outside, grabbed all the garbage out of and scraped up all the stuff from inside a garbage bin, those big things, those big garbage bins, and came in and spread it all over the house, like caked the floor with it and the walls and this and everything. It was just trash everywhere. It was like nothing you'd ever seen in your life. I've never experienced that before. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But at the time I chopped it up as, somebody with I don't know, with like, fuck, I didn't know what to think. I for sure there was something demonic about the guy. It was fucked, yeah. And so I had to like literally like hold up in my bedroom for like 6 months while I waited for something to go through. Like I had to go through victim services just to abolish the lease. Yeah, even though that this guy was just like my roommate, you know, living in another bedroom, there was no relationship. I'm straight, right? You know what I mean? Still, I had to go through, hey, Dilton, I had to go, how's it going, buddy? I'm telling the story about my demonic roommate. Yeah, I was saying like I had to go through victim services to get the lease abolished. That was the only way I could get out of that. And I had to wait like 6 fucking months in that bedroom. Like, yeah, it was pretty fucking bad. Yeah, for sure. But it was like he was doing like he had like it's like this. He had a fucking bucket full of dog whistles that he had created for me using reactive abuse. He was trying to reframe me and try to get me excommunicated, just trying everything he could to destroy me, right? Poisoning me, fucking putting shit all everywhere, fucking just trying to make things as dirty and disgusting as possible, like making sure that I got no sleep from constant fucking upheavals and loud everything. And you know, the guy was nuts, man. Yeah. And at the very end, he was desperate because I gave him absolutely no action, no reaction. I mean, no reaction, no response, no acknowledgement of his existence. I was just held up in that room, and I held it together and bit my tongue when I wanted to go out there and just, but I couldn't, you know. I held it together, and what he ended up doing was like throwing everything he could at me. Everything, every dog whistle, everything that got under my skin, he was throwing him like a jackhammer, just picking away like a pickaxe, everything he could. And it was weakening him because nothing was working until he finally fucking collapsed, right? Well, it's Satan working through him. Right now, Satan's doing the same thing to everybody. He's doing the same actions. Yeah, he's like trying everything. What the hell's that? Sucking a dick, he says. But with the icons, yeah, he's trying everything. He's doing it to, I seen him doing it to, what's her name? Craft of Christ, Jess. I see him constantly. He's just throwing like nasty comment after nasty comment at her, you know, through other people, you know. I see him hammering. He'll come in and he'll hammer in my head and at my ear until I stand up and speak with authority, and I kick him the hell to the curb, right? And stuff like that. But he's desperate and he's moving fast. He's attacking quick. If one thing doesn't work, bang, hits you with another thing. Boom, he hits you with another button. He's trying everything. So if you feel that shit's working up in your head like constantly, like you're being irritated, people are fighting with you, people are coming out of the woodwork, old traumas, seems like the same thing is happening over and over again. That's Satan working through other people. That's Satan working on your mind. That's Satan yapping in your ear, and he's going fast, he's desperate, he's going hard. Yeah, but you know what, I'm here to tell you that he's gonna fail. Yeah, he's gonna fail, and he's doing this because he's failing, and this is his last, you know, his time is short, he knows it, and he's right at the end. I can tell. And like I said, I've dealt with him through people, you know what I mean? When he works through people, I've been up against him and up against him and up against him over and over again, to the point where I can see him. I can see him when he's working through somebody. I know his tricks. It's the same thing. You know, it's like Jess there was saying, there's no new stuff. There's nothing new. He just does the same old bullshit over and over again. He ain't creative, you know. It's always the same tricks. Always the same buttons he'll push on you. Always the same old traumas that he had created before. He'll bring in new people to do the same thing. Yeah, and so hold tight. Cover yourself in the blood of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. You know, put a hedge of holy fire around you. Like, just go hard at it, and you know, it's like you submit yourself to Christ, right? Repent, right? Say, you know, I repent for my sins. Christ will go, okay, no problem. Don't look back. I'm doing a new thing with you. And then you kick Satan to the curb. You say, Satan, get behind me. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Dude, I'm telling you right now, He has given you authority to stomp on on these demons, to stomp on the heads of snakes and scorpions. He is the one that dwells within you, and who dwells within you is greater than the one that dwells in the earth, right? You have authority over Satan, authority over these demons. Yeah, so you can make all that stop. Yeah, all these attacks that he does through other people or just on you in your head, boom, you can nail it. Bang, knock it to the curb. Oh yeah, buddy, I'm not kidding. Yeah, so it's like, it's on, man. Yeah. So I'm saying is that Satan's on his way out, and he knows it, and so he's attacking fast. He's attacking desperately, and he's just throwing everything he can at you. Yeah, so if you recognize that and everything, like, you know, you can give yourself to Jesus Christ, and he'll go, yep, and he's waiting for you. Like, yeah, you're not too dirty for him. Not at all. Like, look at the things that I've done. You know, like, I just put up a short and a new video. Like, look how far I went into darkness. You know what I mean? I was freaking imitating Marilyn Manson. Here's the thing, though. Here's the crazy thing about that. There's a whole story behind that. There's a whole story behind it. That and before I even did that, I was a straight up goth musician. Straight up vampire goth, like straight up from 1996 on into the 2000s. I did that before I did the Marilyn Manson clone band, which I got totally shamed out for. And then after that I did it too, and did a second album, which sounded like Marilyn Manson after that. Yeah, it kind of ruined the way I sang, right? But I mean, dude, I was in total darkness, right? Now here's the thing though, is that I've been a Christian all my life. I've been close to Christ all my life. I've been praying every day all my life. Not like I do now, but, you know, because I understand, you know, I have authority now, you know, through Christ, right? There's a difference, you know, I understand the darkness where I didn't before, you know. And thank you, Jess, for bringing a lot of these things to light, because it really kicked up my game, like a hardcore it has, right? But I'm telling you, it's like when I was doing all that vampire stuff, I was going into darkness. I was being attacked by demons. Oh, for sure. Absolutely. The woman that I was with was complete Jezebel, was like completely demonically influenced by that spirit, and was tearing me to pieces. It drove me into the psych ward for some time. They heavily drugged me. They did. They heavily drugged me and messed up my life. Oh yeah. Yeah, oh absolutely, 100%, dude. Yeah. I'm telling you, I was in it. Even though I was praying, even though I was still close to Christ, like Christ was pulling me out of danger over and over and over again, but he allowed me to go there. He allowed me to fall into darkness. He had me by the hand the whole time, but he let me fall into it so that I could see it, so that I could understand it, so that I could be familiar with it, so I could come back and give my testimony, right? And to let you know you're never too dirty for him. He's just waiting for you. Yeah, he stuck with me through that whole time. I remember Crystal and I were living together 9 years when I was in that vampire thing. It was after that woman who was straight up Jezebel influence, right? And Crystal and I used to pray to Christ, to Jesus Christ, every day. We went to church and all that. Even though I was creating this vampire goth band and doing all this, even though, yeah, for sure. But I mean, I was still in darkness. I was, and it was when I was living with Crystal that I was doing this thing. It was before I'd done my second album, and before I completely changed up the way things sounded. And I had just finished doing a gig on Halloween with Alexis Machine, right? That was the name of the band. I thought that there was something I thought there was an alter ego that was crawling up inside me every time I performed, because it felt like I was having an outer body experience. I felt like I was watching myself perform. It was from behind my head, like kicked out of my body. It was weird, and it was like a whole thing. Yeah, it was really weird. So from that movie, I decided to like literally name the character Alexis Machine. It just made sense to me at the time, right? Yeah, it was something dark though, for sure. I think it was a Leviathan coming in or something. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, but in and out, there and gone. You know, performing, it's there. When I'm done, gone. You know, back to me. You know, again, it was like boom, boom. Yeah, and so we had done a Halloween gig, and I was in full on, you know, prosthetic makeup and the fangs, and it was full on, and we were getting like, you know, people in the audience were calling out, you know, sweet dreams, play this, play that, right? Marilyn Manson tunes. I didn't understand. I didn't know Manson very well. My girlfriend at the time, though, she did. She loved Manson. She was all about him, right? He was new to me, sort of, right? But then after the show, you know, my guitar player at the time in Alexis was saying, "Oh yeah, they think you look like Marilyn Manson." He goes, "We should do a Marilyn Manson clone band." And I was just like, well, I don't know, maybe, I guess. You know, I had imitated other people in bands before. You know, it's like I played Mick Mars one time in a Motley Crue clone band. Clone bands are different. Like you make a lot more money. Yeah, they're a little more a little higher profile. It's just a whole different game. Yeah, for sure. Bigger audiences, bigger venues, more advertisement, bigger turnouts, better money, and you're cosplaying at the same time as you're playing the music too, right? That's what it's like. And so you're acting and everything. So I've done it before. You know, it's something I could do. I can act, right? I think all of us can act at this point now. Things have changed since then, but I could. And so I was like, yeah, okay, whatever, sure, I'll try it. And so I told Crystal, and I took the ghetto blaster we had, and I went into the bedroom, and I lost my voice trying to sing the first song. I just couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out how to do his voice at all. And then it was like I was playing bass in a Van Halen tribute with that guitar player one time, and we were at the rehearsal hall, and we were setting up the PA system, right? Big PA system in there. Oh yeah, it was wicked. Yeah, and so as far as setting it up, it was just me dialing it in. And so I'm like, you know, talking through the mic, setting it up and that. And my guitar player learned Angel at the Scabbed Wings, right? And so he starts playing the riff, and he's looking at me smiling, and then because of the having a PA system and there being a loud guitar, it wasn't the same as me being in the bedroom and singing dry with this ghetto blaster, and then, you know, in my mind knowing there's people listening, it's, you know, tightening up and crunching too hard, you know. I let it loose, and it just came out. It was like, you know, when you go to imitate someone the first time and you sort of it just happens. It was like that. And he smiled. He goes, "Let's do it." And I was like, yeah, okay. So we did it. And it was one hell of an experience. It was literally during the time of that whole Columbine thing that happened. Yeah, it just so happened to be that exact time. And so there was a lot of controversy about that was going on.
Shock rock star was also an idol to the two boys who went on a killing spree in Colorado. But does it mean violence on videos and television influences someone's behavior? You feel that has anything to do with what's happened in Colorado and Alberta?
No, I don't. What has happened in Colorado and Alberta, I'll tell you right now, it all derives from one word called abuse. And it starts from parents treating their children, from abusing their children. Their children come to school, they abuse other children.
that was when they were picketing, and they're trying, you know, like the churches were picketing.
What do you guys think about Marilyn Manson?
I think he has a soul.
Yeah.
It's undying, just as we all do.
Somebody that God loves. Yeah?
Yes.
Are you guys willing to help him find God?
Oh, yes.
We could reach him on a one-on-one basis, yes.
Yes, Jesus loves you. Yes, Jesus loves you. Yes, Jesus loves you. The Bible tells us so.
And they're trying to keep Manson from playing certain venues and that. And we experienced that once in Calgary, because we toured all the way out to Vancouver and around Canada and back, right? And when we rolled into Calgary, we went to load in when we got to the venue, and there was already an act on stage. And so, you know, we talked to we talked to the owner and that, and turned out, like, you know, he's like, nah, and he's like, no, he says, I can't do it. He goes, I'll pay you, you know, and I'll put you up in the hotel and food and all that stuff, but I can't let you play. We've been getting the heat's been on like so bad. He says, yeah, they've been pressuring us. And so we're like, okay, so we got paid not to play. I thought that was interesting, that, but the whole, dude, I did not understand the lyrics that I was singing. I had no clue what those songs meant. No clue at all. Not even close. Like in between, you know, it's like when I was on my own, you know, like not playing, I was still praying to Jesus. You know what I mean? I still was. I was this clueless Christian, fucking terrible Christian, but still a Christian. God still had a hold of me. He was letting me into the darkness. He was letting me find out, you know. He was letting me fuck around and find out, all right? Yeah, for sure. He wanted me to know for some reason, probably so I can give my testimony. But I did not know what those lyrics meant at all. No clue. I didn't start learning a little bit about it until later on, way later on, when I started listening to interviews and stories about him, and, you know, from him and stuff like that. You know, I think we've heard a lot about it, about him and Trent Reznor and the things they were doing together, and the outer body experiences, and the chamber that they had created where they were like literally like blocking out all kinds of what is it, deprivation, you know, sort of chamber and that, and Marilyn Manson's outer body experiences and all that. He told all about it, and he explained what that album was about, and that's when I knew it. Then I was like, oh, you know. But there were lyrics at the time that I was singing that did make me feel a little bit like not so good, you know. I still didn't know what the hell they meant, but you know, it didn't make me feel so good. But so we did that whole act. I ended up getting addicted to codeine because I had gotten sick when I was out there on the road, and I had woke up one morning. I don't even remember. We were going like one-nighters, so we'd roll in, we'd set up, we'd eat food, we'd play the gig, and then when we were done, I'd have a shower, I'd get into bed in the hotel room, I'd sleep for a few hours, they'd wake me up, we'd get into the van, you know, and I'd sleep the rest of it in the van. We'd get there, and it just kept repeat because it was all one-nighters, and I got sick, right? And I had quit smoking weed and cigarettes. I had a patch on me. Like, I was like, one-nighters, there's no way I was going to fuck that up. I wanted to be able to sing every night. So, but still, yeah, I ended up getting sick, and I woke up one morning like that. I was rooming with the drummer, and I decided, holy shit, right? So I got up, and I walked across the street. There was a pharmacy there, and I walked in all, you know, smudged up, black, you know, remnants of black makeup under my eyes, and no eyebrows, and black hair and shit. And I walked in, and it's like, and I said, look, I said to this woman at the counter at the pharmacy, I was like, look, I'm a musician. I'm playing one-nighters. I have to be able to finish the rest of the tour. I'm sick. I don't know what the hell to do. It's like in my lungs. It's everything. I'm like, hook me up, like fix me, And she looked at me and she just like took me seriously, grabbed a big bottle of fucking cough syrup with codeine in it and put it down on the table and said, okay. And I paid for it. I didn't know what codeine was, right? I went back to the hotel room. I took a couple of spoonfuls, and within no time at all, I was high as fucking balls. My whole body was just like warm. I felt like unbelievable, right? And so then I was like, I got to share this with my drummer because he woke up sick too, right? And so I woke him up. I shook him like I was some sort of like parent, mom coming in to like feed him medicine. And I did. And I fed him a couple spoonfuls of this stuff. And then he lay back down and he kept sleeping. And all of a sudden he sits up at like 10, 15 minutes later and he goes, whoa. He goes, what was in that? And I'm like, I don't know, man. It's some good shit. I said, codeine or something. And I said, this is going to be great. I'll be able to do this, no problem, right? And he's like, not me, man. He's like, oh, I can't. There's no way I can drum like this. He goes, I got to get something else, eh? And so that's what he did. But me, I just stuck with the codeine. And so I was like, high as balls on codeine the whole tour, the rest of the tour. And when I came back, I was addicted to it. And then I moved to Tylenol 3s, and it took a long time till I got off of it. But I did. Yeah, I did finally. But it was crazy, man. That whole thing was crazy. So after that, when I came back, like Crystal and I almost broke up because she was in Calgary. Because she was from Calgary, so she stayed out in Calgary so she wouldn't be by herself, and because she couldn't come on tour with us, eh? And there's no way she would have survived it. Yeah, it was like we were grinding too hard, and she would have been in the way. It would have been rough. But when we came back, because I barely talked to her when that tour, because there was like. Cell phones were like, it was rare, our sound guy had a cell phone, so it was once in a while I get to talk to her, and she was a bitch every time. So I was like starting to hate her while I was out there. I didn't cheat, I almost did, but and so when I came back into town, we were living together. I almost broke up with her, but we didn't. And we kept it going in that. And then because that band ended, right? I ended that band. Yeah, I was the one that quit it. They were mad as fuck at me for it. Yeah, my daughter's mom was like who was trying to tear me down and like narcissistically abuse me and keep my daughter from me and all this stuff, and totally like brainwashed her into believing I was something horrible, made up all kinds of lies, until it's just. To this day, she's estranged, has no clue what I'm like or who I am because of her mom, right? That's just the way it went down. But she was like, because we were split up, right? That was the Jezebel girl, right? Yeah, and now I'm living with Crystal, right? That's the 9 years one, the one that I almost broke up with when I came back off the road there. But it was like, it was tough. I was going through a lot of shit. I had. Was trying to do visitation with my daughter. I had Crystal, who was shaming me for having a daughter. She, because she didn't want to. She had said she didn't want to be in a position like that, but she was, And so I was getting shamed from her. I was getting shamed from my daughter's mom. I was getting like scapegoated by my family, by everyone around me. Like I was feeling the devil working on me. And Christ was letting it happen on purpose because he needed me to see it. He needed me to know Satan as well as I did know him, eh? And so I continued writing from that point on. And that's the second album that I did. And that one was weird. The shit that I was writing was really weird. It was like it was very the lyrics were very abstract and dark and hurting, and it was just came from a place of being lost in the darkness, sort of thing of it all. The music was strange. I started, like, instead of playing the guitar parts, I started sampling chords and then step writing the chords to try and make it sound mechanical. I was like doing all kinds of weird shit. The vocals became very Marilyn Manson sounding, so I went from something that was not totally Skid Row, it was my own thing, but it was very belting and stuff like that, to, you know, in vibrato and singing in key, to something that sounded very dark and dirty and everything. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, and I did that for a long time. The videos we tried to make were kind of cringy at best. You know, there's like 3 or 4 of them up there. I didn't even include them in the app that I made. I made an app. Yeah, I made an app that has both albums in there. It's got some pictures, some screenshots and things, you know, and get an idea of the look, you know, that I was doing and how dark things were and that, and some fan videos and stuff. But I made it like I vibe coded it, you know, and made it like an app. It's in my YouTube links, where you can just literally pull it up on the phone, and you can listen to the first album and get an idea what I was talking about, and then you can listen to the second album and see how much it changed me, you know, after doing that Marilyn Manson thing. It really led me into something that sounded dark after all that. Yeah, but I mean, I did that for a long time. It led me into, like, once Crystal and I broke up, I started dating a girl who was bipolar, and that was actually a witch. Like, she was doing spells, and she was doing spells on me, and she was using tarot cards. She was doing all kinds of shit behind my back even, right? I lived with her for 4 years, and I got worse and worse and worse. The drugs they were feeding me were even crazier. I was just getting so sick. I was getting so hammered by all of this. It was just fucking crazy. Yeah, it was like I was homeless, but I had a home. I was like, yeah, I was financially being starved by her. I couldn't go up buy cigarettes. I was picking butts up off the ground. I was in a bad place, man. And then I'm laying there on the couch out on the deck because I didn't want to be in that house with them. And I finally broke down and I started crying, and I said to God, you know, like, get me out of this. I am sorry. I don't want to be here anymore. Give me another chance. And he did. And he changed it all. And he got me out of there. And it gave me the guts to stand up. And I started feeling a bit better. And it was like I went and helped a friend move some stuff out of her house. It was someone I knew from a long time ago, and I couldn't remember who I was. I just couldn't remember who I was. I was so far gone. I had no clue who I was. I was overly medicated, and I had said to her, I was like, who was I? I don't remember myself. And she told me who I was, and it kicked up a spark in my mind, and I just said, that's it. I have to get out of this. And I went back and I completely broke up with the girl. I thought she was going to kill me. I was terrified. Like, she was like livid. As I was going around the house trying to like pack up what I did have, she was right behind me screaming and yelling and throwing things around, and she was nasty. Like, I thought, and then she just crashed. She just went and passed out sleeping. I was on the phone with like a relative saying, come and fucking get me out of here now. This chick is gonna kill me, man. And they're like, nah, you're overreacting. It was like they didn't want me up and being okay. They were like trying to scapegoat me, right? But I forced them down into it. And when they showed up, she was up and alive again, and I was like loading up the car with this relative, and she was running off to the store to grab like a pregnancy test, to run back, and she's going, I'm pregnant, like just trying everything she could. It wasn't true, obviously, right? I was so drugged on so much drugs that time. There's no way that even would have worked. You know what I mean? There's no way I had anything in me, right? But I got out of there. I ended up moving into a band house with my old guitar player from Alexis Machine, and within no time, I had weaned myself off of like the majority of drugs, and I started being okay again. I dyed my hair back to my natural color. I started playing bass in a band with them, and then there was a girl that was a relative of his sister, that was doing love spells on me to try and get me into her to be her boyfriend, and it worked. And it was the weirdest thing. Like, I knew her for a long time. She was literally like, would call me up, and I was like, oh wow, nice to talk to you. I haven't seen you or heard from you in so long. And she's, yeah, this and that, and showing interest. And I was like, well, no, not me, I'm staying single after all that. And then a day later, I was like thinking about her like crazy and lustfully and all that, because that's what happens. You get a love spell done on you. You start being obsessed. They're in your dreams or in your mind, and you complete lustful feelings over them. And she called me up 3 days later to see if it worked. Yeah, and then she ended up drawing me in, but it only lasts for a while. She ended up moving me into her house and everything, and then after a little while, all of a sudden I was just like, what the fuck? I'm like, why am I here? I don't want to be here. I'm like, I can't be here, I said to her. Yeah, and then all of a sudden within a day I was right back obsessed again and lustfully, and it was just like sex like crazy, and it was not good. I was back into a dark place, but not, it was a whole new other thing. Yeah. That went on for years, man. I ended up moving every time that I'd come out of it. I finally, at one point I came out of it and I had someone pick me up and drive me into the city and back to that band house, and then I got into my own place. But then another love spell pulled me right back in, so here I am again dating her while I'm there. Yeah, and it took a long time, but I was able to finally break out of that. And
I'm so excited, it's got a lump in my throat. Okay, go for it. Even then, I was still in a dark place. I started that first punk band, and I was like, it was weird, man. The way that my drummer and I were writing songs was strange, and those songs sounded like if you ever listen to that band, I've got that stuff up on another channel. I'll do like a playlist and put it on this channel and that. But that band was also, it sounded like doom and punk at the same time. Who farted on this mic? That's gross.
Parental discretion is advised. What is a dick puppet? Why, it's cosplay for your pecker. A petite woman that can be picked up and mounted on the end of your penis with little or no effort, while you're free to go to the fridge and get a beer without her dismounting or losing your stroke count. It could be a politician with a hand up his ass. Or it's these knuckleheads.
was a lot of really like overdriven vocals, a lot of like raspy stuff, and the lyrics were abstract and dark, like Nirvana dark, you know what I mean, like that. And so even then, yeah, it was dark. Oh, for sure. And it wasn't until after that band that I started slowly coming back, and getting out of that darkness. I started weaning off more of that horrible medication they had me on. I started thinking better. I started feeling better. I wasn't in a band. I was just playing guitar. I didn't want to sing anymore. And I remember I was really angry, not at God, but at religion for a while. I was just hating it because I felt that it was misrepresenting God. Yeah, it was weird. I had all these weird ideas about it. Christ was always there, but I was always in that dark place. Yeah, you know what I mean? And then I ended up, that's when I ended up in that position after I moved out from with that roommate that I was in that punk band with. I had moved in with that demonically influenced roommate, and I just barely survived that. Got out of there, moved into here, and didn't want to be around anyone. I literally like just barricaded myself in here just to try and get my shit together. And that's when I started coming really close with Christ. It's just been like on my own in this place, isolated, to have God working on me, right? And I ended up getting into a punk band with those guys. That was No Complacent, right? And I was secretly, like becoming more and more Christian, right? And these guys were not. Like, they were sweet. They're sweet individuals. You'd think that they would be because of some of their values. I mean, they would be great Christians because they're loving, and accepting in that, right? But they're also not Christians, so they had a lot of other things that weren't the same, you know what I mean? And so we couldn't be yoked together. And like I said before, there were people around us that were also, driven by like something dark that was reframing me, that to this day, is still watching my posts, watching and hate watching me, and taking things that I say and taking videos and clips and reframing them to my band still to this day, because they wanted to gaslight my band into believing I was somebody that I wasn't, and absorb who I am and become me, and kick me out of the whole thing, and it worked.
Thanks guys, for 7 seconds next.
But thank God for it, because I needed it to happen, right? In order to fully come back to God, I needed to not be yoked in with Him. And so this is what happened, right? And so I remember talking to Dilgen and a few other of my friends here when I was first streaming here on YouTube, and I was smoking humongous joints, up controls, I think it is, and even do like it should be okay. It should be okay for everybody, I think. I was a huge pothead, you guys. I was smoking huge joints from day in, day out, like constantly. I was getting from a grower. It was like I had a couple ounces on me at all times. I wasn't even getting from the stores. I was just rolling big, fat, crazy joints. I was vaping the strongest nicotine with like big builds where I had to shove cotton in there and change out coils. It was nuts. And I remember talking to these guys, and they're saying, would you ever take a weed break? And I said, you know what? I'm afraid that if I do, I'm going to quit. Yeah, forever kind of thing. And so the first thing I did was I ended up quitting vaping. I had made a deal with God. I was like, look, when I'm done, this last, when my machine fails, the last machine that I have for like vaping, I want to quit, and that's it. You can help me quit, help me take away all my, all my cravings, whatever you can do for me. And so when that happened, I did. And right away I went to my guitar player, Terry, because I was still with that band, when I quit vaping. And when I quit weed, I was still with that band. And I said to him, because he quit smoking, and I said, dude, how did you do it? And he's like, I had chips and snacks around the house the whole time. And he goes, anytime I was hurting, he goes, I would go for the chips, and I would just eat chips, or I would, munch on that. And I was like, okay. And so I quit. I went and got like 6 bags of potato chips. I ate potato chips for 3 days, hated it, and then just went complete cold turkey after that. I just gave it up to God. I was like, God, you deal with it. You take it away from me. I don't want to feel this anymore. I don't want to vape anymore. Just get it out of me. And he did. He took what I couldn't do before on my own, and he made it like easy. It was like no time. It was gone. I was fine. I was bewildered. I could not believe how easy it was. My lungs didn't starve. But I had to do a trick with my brain, though, in order to deal with it. Is I had to say, okay, any kind of residual, because he let me experience some of it to fight through it, but he took 90% of it away, of the pain of quitting away, right? And so I was like, okay, any kind of lung starving feeling that I have, instead of like having that connected to knowing that I used to vape and that is a missing of nicotine, I'm just going to deal with it on its own as an uncomfortable feeling, and sort of divorce it from the idea of it being because I'm missing nicotine. So that way I and that way I just dealt with the feeling of it, right? No problem, quit it. And then I was like, like the person that was helping me with the weed or whatever, every time they had like a problem with their finances, which basically were nothing compared to what I owed the guy, he would like call me up in the morning and make me panic, and then when he was done making me panic over owing him money, then he felt better, and then he'd walk away and he'd be good for the rest of the day. And one morning I was sitting on the can, and I just gotten 2 big ounces of weed, with his help or whatever, right? He was just kind of helping me out, making it happen, he had called me up, and I'm sitting on the can right in the toilet, and not to give you the visual, just to give you an idea. And he called me up and he did the thing again, and then I just went, you know what, I quit. And he was like, you do? Yeah, I quit. I said, I'll pay you back a little bit every month till it's gone, but I quit. I can't do it anymore. I'm not going to do it anymore. That's it. And he's like, okay. And I was like, yep. And then that was it. I went and I took that Tupperware container, because these guys remember, it was every stream. I would be like, hi, I'm Marc, I'm your parasocial friend, and it's time to roll up a big joint. And we'd all, blaze together, and by the end of the stream, I was so high, I didn't know what I was saying. I'd say the dumbest things, the most wrong things. It was terrible. Yeah, it was, like I ended up going in there later and deleting the most of it. Yeah, I did like so many streams, but I did leave in a bunch where I was still smoking weed. It's on my channel, and I left in some videos that that I have in there during my whole thing of quitting, right? But I took that Tupperware container with a couple ounces in it and papers and scissors and a bag of roaches, that I'd break into if I needed, and my regular trusty rolling tray, and I took duct tape, not duct tape, but packing tape, and I taped that thing up solid, so that way it was just like a ball of tape. So that way if I felt like I needed to get into it, you know what I mean? Like it would be too hard to do. Yeah, that I would just give up, right? I didn't need to do it though. I never went into it, but I did it anyways. And I said to God, I said, I quit. I said, take it away from me. I don't want to smoke anymore. Get rid of it. I don't want to feel any more withdrawal. I don't care. Just help me do it. I am serious about it. And he's like, okay. And he did it, man. Boy, did he do it. It was unbelievable. And here's the thing, though, is I had to go through the withdrawal still. He cut it down to about 10% of what you would experience. So, but I went through the withdrawal. I smelled like a donkey's asshole. The sweating and the body odor that was happening from all the toxins coming out. And I felt rough. And so what I was doing is I'd have like 10 super hot scalding showers, quick showers a day, because I noticed that the hot scalding water, if I just splash it against my body, would make me feel 100 times better. Yeah, but all the color was coming back to my face. I started feeling better. I started being healthier. All of my psychological problems cleared right up. Oh yeah, they just almost cleared right up. When I started to learn how to warfare pray through Jess from Craft of Christ, I fought hard. There was like the demonic attacks, I'm telling you, to try and pull me back in were serious. But when I finally got it, and I got it down, and I was locking myself down with the blood of Christ and locking down my home and praying hard, and I knew how to warfare pray, all of my psychological problems cleared up. Every single last one of them. It was Satan. I didn't need those drugs. I was being demonically attacked throughout that whole thing. That's all it was. Every single psychological problem cleared up. I haven't got a single problem. None. I can't believe it. I've never been more sane in my entire life. I don't fear anything. I haven't got an anxiety. Nothing. I don't. Anytime anything whips up in my head, I know it's Satan, and I work him out of there. I kick him right to the curb, and it stops. I've never been more sane than I am in my entire life, and I'm telling you right now, for everything that I've gone through, for all that is dark and as far down the hole that I've gone into, even though I was a Christian since I was born, since I knew about Christ right from when I was a little kid, he's been part of the way I think. I've always prayed to him. He held on to me. And there was times I was just like, God, keep pulling me out of my hell. He held on to me, and he led me through all that darkness so that I could come back and I could tell you all about it. And to tell you that you are not too dirty for Christ, no matter what you do. If he could be there for me, if he could fully, constantly accept me and hold on to me as one of his children through all of that disrespect, through all the wrong decisions that I made, if he could take Jess, who used to be a witch for 14 years, who used to a poor girl feels a lot of shame for all the spells that she's done, right? But if he could be like, no, you're my child, come back to me, like he let her do that. You know why? Because she was infiltrating Christ, or infiltrating Satan. She was learning everything about every single demonic entity that existed, and she was in agreement with them and working with them. She knows all their tricks, just like I know all the Satan's tricks, in two different ways. And Christ walked into her room one day and said, come here, you're done. Now you're coming with me. I got a job for you. And she was just like, she was reluctant at first. She didn't know what to think. Yeah. But she was like, okay. Yeah. Hey, buddy. How's it going? Asked her creeper. And and he took her back, and she's okay. Let's do it. And so it's like, no. It's like Christ does this on purpose. So we're an army, man. We're an army. We're Christ's children. And so I'm saying, you're never too dark for God. You're never too dirty for God. He is waiting for you. He wants all of his children. I'm not kidding yet. And so here, this is why I put up that whole Alexis Machine thing. This is why I put up those last couple shorts and videos and stuff like that, to show you where I came from. Absolutely. And to give you my testimony, you guys. This is my testimony. Absolutely. Yeah. If you got any questions, because there is so much more information in there that I left out. If you got any questions about that, I will tell you fully. And if you go and you want to hear the stuff that I was writing, I'm telling you, not all of it's good. The first album's solid. It sounds really good. The second one is dark, and it's confusing, and it's messed up. Some of it sounds like horrible vocally. Some of it doesn't. Some of it does sound okay. But it's like, I've got a link in my YouTube channel. In the links, if you go and look there, you'll see it says My Goth Band, or My Goth Band Alexis Machine, or something like that. And if you click on that link, I vibe coded. Thank you, Dilgen, for helping me with that, teaching me how to vibe code with lovable.dev, and letting me use some of his credits, some of his tokens. You have no idea how much I appreciate you, buddy. No idea at all. Well, I was able to make a web page that has a player that has both albums on there. I added a new song to the first album. Yeah, I forgot it, so there's like more songs in there. Yeah, and I've got both albums in there. There's pictures, there's fan videos, there's like, just so you know, you understand where I came from, and that Christ took me back even from that. And I'm telling you, as a musician, music hits hard. Music is alchemy. You know what I mean? It's like this. It's like when you're having an emotional experience, and any emotional experience, even boredom, even just sitting there, you're having a neurochemical reaction, and it's like a soup, and it's like a whole bunch of different neurochemicals for each type of emotional experience. And if you ever do what do you call it, there's a whole thing where you can take a course and you can learn emotional awareness, right? And every time you have an experience, it's not one thing. So you're not just sad, or you're not just depressed, or just lonely, or just excited, or just happy. It's a plethora of emotions that you're unaware of, that all go together like a cloud of them that create your experience, right? And so the same goes for your chemical reaction, right? And so when I say it's alchemy, it's just like this. The music is exactly like this. It's like if I got off stage, instead of playing the song, and I just took a syringe full of these neurochemicals and walked up to each member of the audience and just gave them a dose of that, it's the same thing as me playing that song, and it creates it just like that. It's literally alchemy, yeah. And when I'm on stage, I'm telling you right now, the way that it works is like this. As we're counting in the song, it's like 3, 2, 1, I've disappeared. I'm not there. I'm in a state that feels like sleep paralysis. It's the same kind of wishy, moving, sort of dreamy state. I'm locked in with the rest of the band. It's like I'm sharing their brain. I can feel their emotion. I can tell when they're going to go to another part of the song. I can tell. I can feel it. I can look over at the drummer, and I know what he's saying to me, and he knows what I'm saying to him too. It's a hypnotic state. And together. We're feeling the emotion of the music together, and it's charging. It charges, and then it goes right out to the audience, and the audience gets it. Boom, like alchemy, and it multiplies within them. It sort of, what's the word? It expands. It gets larger. It grows. It charges bigger, and it comes right back at us. Boom. And I'm telling you, it gets in the muscles. The adrenaline spike with that charge is something else. You could jump higher than, I swear to God, it's like superhuman strength. Like, it's unbelievable what it does to the body. It's like there's so much energy built up in there that you could explode and just, it's like you could just, you've seen it. That's why musicians lose their minds on stage and start kicking over things and start becoming violent and just reacting in that explosive way. You can't contain it, and it goes right back out at the audience, and it's just feedback loop, back and forth and back and forth, and that's what it does. And so, depending on what the song is, depending on what the message is, depending on what the repetitive phrase is, that's what's going in. And I'm telling you right now, that's what all those rituals you'll see that musicians are doing on stage. They'll say that they're doing, you'll see musicians do the thing where they'll be like, this is my alter ego, and all of a sudden they turn into like something that looks demonic, or you see something where there's a lot of imagery and stuff like that. Well, the elites, they know exactly what's going on, for sure. And so they take what I'm talking about, and they harvest that energy, and they put it into rituals, and they do things with it. And yeah, that's what's going on. So I'm telling you, like, being a musician, like, I'm telling you, this is exactly what's going on, 100%, so that you know. And this is my testimony. I'm telling you, yeah, I literally know this, and I can tell you more and more and more about it because I've lived it. I'm 55 years old. Look at me. I'm 55 years old, for sure. I've been demonically influenced over my entire life, while Jesus Christ held on to me throughout that whole time, so that I can come back here and tell you all about it. Yeah, and so when they say that the music industry is demonic, and that they're doing demonic rituals at these concerts and that they're harvesting your energy to use it and put into these rituals, and this is why they're using the imagery in that, it's true. It's true. And this is exactly how it works. Yeah, just so you understand that. There's images of Satan where he's depicted of having horns. He was the musician in heaven. He was the one that ran the choirs up there. There's a lot of singing going on in heaven. But here's the thing, is that he was like low-key, felt a little bit worshipped, a little bit, because of his position, in with the choirs, right? You'll hear that song, I write the songs, right? It's like that's Satan, right? And so it's like, but he was jealous because God was getting all the glory, because he deserves it, right? God deserves the glory and all of the things. And so Satan didn't like that. He wanted to be worshipped. And so that's what happened. That's why things went to shit. And he came up against God and tried to take, he wanted that. He wanted what God had. And so it created a big rift, and everything went down. Yeah. And God cast him out of heaven. And he took some of the angels with him, the ones that he talked into it, the ones that he wanted to worship him. You know what I mean? And so he cast them all down there, down here with us. They're here with us. All those angels, they got twisted and turned into demons. Yeah, because they're not in God's grace anymore. Yeah, and so it's like Satan sees us and we're made in God's image. He hates us. He completely hates us. Hardcore. And that's why he's attacking you. Yeah, that's why he's doing it, for sure, yeah. So I mean, music, yeah, it's like everything is from God, right? Everything is from God. But that's kind of what, yeah, it's one of Satan's tricks. Is he, yeah, it's part of what he does, sort of thing, right? He takes everything that God has created and he twists it and perverts it, let's just say, right? Because God created everything. He created all that. He created Satan. He created or Lucifer. Like he created the angels, the choirs that he was, working with, in that. Like he created all that. God created all that. All the glory goes to God. But that's sort of the dynamic of what went down, and that's why, he sort of got his foot in the music industry. But Satan can't create anything. He can only twist, right? So God's created all this. God has given me, the gift for music. He's given us all this gift, and Satan is trying to hijack it. Let's just say. Does that make sense? Yeah, I hope that makes sense. Yeah. So God created it all. Yeah. Cigarettes, salty peanuts, and Coca-Cola is a tier combo. It is that is a beautiful thing. Yeah, it's tasty. Salty peanuts and Coca-Cola. Oh my God. I used to love eating like salty peanuts. Not salty, the wrong word. Salty peanuts. Yeah. The only problem is all the oils in it. Yeah, it would cause inflammation and depression and make you fat and everything. Yeah. That's the only problem, for sure. I mean, I love salty things. Like I do. I love salt. I do. I've always been more into salt than I have into sweets. And it wasn't until I was in that band Dick Puppet, Dick Puppet, yeah. I called it that because it was like, it's a punk band. It was against, stick it to the man. And I looked at the politicians as puppets. And they're real dicks, right? And so I playfully was, throwing the name around to my drummer, Brett. It's called the band Dick Puppet because it's funny, double meaning. And then it was a pet name that turned into the real name because it was catchy and no one would forget it. Yeah. But I ended up getting weird flack for it, yeah, because right away people were thinking that we were calling ourselves gay or something, right? Yeah, it was nuts. It was just, the whole thing was bad. Yeah, it was a bad idea. Should have called it something else. We tried to rename the band, and we renamed it My Evil Erica because that was something that here, listen, here's the messed up thing with that band. I did not want to say the things lyrically that were going on in my head at the time because of all the crazy shit. I didn't feel comfortable talking about it. I didn't feel comfortable writing lyrics about it. So what I would do is I would set up a laptop. I would run my guitar into a bass amp and a guitar amp and have that go into a mixing board and then a electronic kit go into a mixing board, and I'd send that to a laptop. And then whenever my drummer would come over, I had a couple mics too. Every time my drummer would come over, everything was ready to go. And I would just hit record, just 2 tracks, just stereo, left and right. And it would record our whole jam session. And then we did a thing where, because I was taking advantage of the 3-2-1, now we're in that state of mind, right? Where it's like you're in that hypnotic state. And we would do, and I called it the net, where it was like a net that would catch ideas, and I'd let whatever ideas came in happen. And so we would do the thing like this. This is how we'd write the songs. We'd let the songs come in and happen. We'd record it. By the end of the session, we'd have 4 songs. It would come out of nowhere. Yeah, it would be, I'd look at him, I'd go, okay, go. And then we would just play. Whatever would happen, would happen. And because I was plugged into a bass amp and a guitar amp at the same time, whatever chords I was playing, it sounded like a bass player was playing along with me. And then I would just go into another place, a hypnotic place, and start singing. Yeah, and I would do it like that. And while I was singing, it was like, you know, when you pray in tongues, you're not thinking about the words you're saying. You're enunciating, and you're singing. Yeah, it's like I'd enunciate, you know, vowels and consonants and different shit that sounded cool at the time, and whatever notes that I was doing and whatever things, and that's how we did it. And then when I listened back to it, I'd listen very carefully. Sometimes I turned down the vocals so it was a little bit buried, and then I could hear words, and I'd write down the words, and then those would be the words of the song afterwards, right? And I found that they were very abstract, and I didn't understand what they meant. And it wasn't until years later, after I learned about, I did like 15 years of like learning about narcissism through Professor Sam Vaknin, right? That's when I started understanding the lyrics. Yeah, it was like I was saying some stuff. yeah, it was weird, but that's how we wrote everything. Yeah, and so that was an experience. We did a bunch of gigs, and there was a lot of things that were tearing that band apart until it tore it apart. Yeah, but yeah, that was something else. I'll have to put up like a playlist of all that music. Yeah, for sure, and I'll like put a link to all that too. That way you guys can follow through it. You can look back at this story and my testimony. You could go back and listen to the music and watch the videos and understand, you know, the whole story of what I'm talking about. Put some actual stuff to it. Yeah, because again, I'm telling you, you're never too dirty for God. Yeah, he's waiting for all his children to come back to him. We're in the end times. Satan is hammering us hard, but he's failing. And as long as you're covered in the blood of Christ, you know, you've got it. You've got it nailed down. But you gotta do it. You gotta do the work. You gotta learn how to warfare pray, and you gotta understand what an attack feels like, so you know you're under attack. And then you know you're aware of what to do in the moment, right? Yeah, and then you're good. Yeah. I was telling God today before we did this live stream, like, that's it. I'm giving my testimony today. Yeah, I'm doing it. And I said, help me do it, Lord. I'm like, just help me, because I got to get all this together in a row, and it's not going to be easy. The Burning Bush XYZ direct communication with God. Yeah, that thing is amazing. Diligent does some really, really cool vibe coding.